Welcome back. As always, if you're joining us today for the first time, I'd recommend you go back and review our previous recordings. So as we discussed, we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as a parent to Klal Yisrael, gave us the Torah to provide us with the clarity and the tools to cultivate that relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to cultivate that relationship with our children, and to have that cycle continue, as we discussed, in order to continue this world with Yishuv Ha'olam. However, what we see here is an incredible thing. What we see here is that when we look at Matan Torah, it was not just a toolbox. There is an additional step here, which we must recognize as parents. The Torah, and the first mitzvah of the Torah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us to have children, which we discussed at length. But if we open it Tfilas Hashla, what we see is that included in that mitzvah of having children, there is another step, Lilmoid. There is a step of teaching our children Torah. More than that, if we go back, we see HaKadosh Baruch Hu talking about the Avos. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says the schus that the Avos have is ki yadativ lemana sheyitzave. I know that the Avos HaKadoshim are going to teach their children Torah. Of course, the entire Matan Torah was HaKadosh Baruch Hu learning Torah with Klal Yisrael. It was not just, here is a book of the tools that you can use to cultivate the relationship with me. It was, I am teaching you Torah. Part of the Torah was given direct to Klal Yisrael, Limud Torah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu with Klal Yisrael, and of course part of the Torah was given HaKadosh Baruch Hu taught Moshe to Zekanim to Klal Yisrael, and so forth. But there was a Limud Torah. Of course, throughout the Torah we see, V'limalatem, a parent has the obligation to teach his child Torah. The Gemara in Yerushalmi tells us that if a father, the Gemara asks, can a father teach his child something else? And the Gemara says, yes, when it's not day or night. In other words, when it's day or night, the father has the obligation to teach his child Torah. Again, a conversation about it for a different time, whether we should teach our children anything else. But of course, we see the idea of a continuous mitzvah and obligation of teaching our children Torah. And of course, the entire idea that Limud HaTorah is a separate thing is something that we see again and again in the Torah. We see the idea that not just does a person have to do mitzvahs, and not just that there are incredible mitzvahs that take a person to an incredible level, but we see the Mishnah says, V'salma Torah keneged kulam, something that we say every day by Shachris. Somehow Limud HaTorah is higher than any other mitzvah. So we have to understand, as parents, as people who are trying to see from the relationship of HaKadosh Baruch Hu with Klal Yisrael, how to parent our children, we need to understand, what does Limud HaTorah have to do with it? And of course the answer is right in our face. We see in Shir HaShirim, Shlomo HaMelech discusses the relationship between Kaviyachol and Klal Yisrael. It seems to be on a higher level. It seems to be on a next level. Kaviyachol Shlomo HaMelech doesn't talk anymore about a father and child relationship. Shlomo HaMelech talks about a husband and wife relationship. Now, the details of the difference is something maybe one day, Mirz Hashem, hopefully we will get to in a series on Shalom Bayis. But what becomes clear in Shir HaShirim is that Klal Yisrael is doing something to have already in this world a mutual relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In other words, we discussed the ideas from the Ramchal, from the Choyves Havavos, and something that we see in the Rambam already, the idea that we're in this world to eventually cultivate a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, his stapkus b'Hashem, let's call it, in the world to come. But what we see in Shir HaShirim from Shlomo HaMelech is that somehow there is the ability to create a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu already in this world. So we have to, of course, understand how. Of course, since this entire series is based on relationship, if there is the ability to cultivate the relationship already in this world, show us the way. And of course, that's exactly what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did. Chazal tell us, Yisrael v'Reisa v'Kudesh v'Berichu chadu. And we see in the Nefesh HaChaim, what does that mean? What it means is we can connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world. How? How can a human connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world? Do you know how? When you make a relationship with his daughter, when you make a relationship with Eraisa, Shlomo HaMelech in Shir HaShirim, and when he's referring to a husband-wife relationship, he is referring to when Klal Yisrael connects to the Torah. How do you connect to the Torah? By limud HaTorah. You can only have Isdapkus B'Hashem in this world through limud HaTorah. Everything else, building up the ultimate relationship, Isdapkus B'Hashem and Olam Haba, we can do with other mitzvahs. But Isdapkus B'Hashem in this world has to happen through Torah. The Gemara tells us about a butcher who ends up getting a chelik in Olam Haba next to one of the Tanoim. How? Because he was Mekayim Kibud Avayim to an incredible level. And of course, befitting to our series, we would understand why Kibud Avayim is such an amazing mitzvah. Of course, because it is based on relationship. It is based on closing that circle of the Gimel Shutfim Ba'adam and having a good relationship with our parents, and of course preparing for the relationship in Olam Haba. However, that butcher only received his Isdapkus B'Hashem Ba'olam Haba. He only was able to build up that relationship for Olam Haba, not for this world. The only way to get that connection in this world is through limud HaTorah. And of course, the understanding behind it is also obvious to us. Because you see, if we go back to understand what it means, Isdapkus B'Hashem in the next world, of course, this is something that we say on Yomim Tovim. Tzadikim Yoishrim, Atreiseim B'Roisheim V'nehenim Miziv HaShchina. Kavayachal, we don't understand exactly what it means, but we do understand that there is an incredible level of joy that we will get when we have that relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Called Nehenim Miziv HaShchina. I don't know what it means. Maybe you do. But there is definitely an incredible level of joy included in that Isdapkus B'Hashem. In other words, you can even say that the Tachlis Abriya, the reason why HaKadosh Baruch Hu created this entire world, is in order to create human beings who will eventually receive incredible amounts of joy from his connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So now let's go back to limud HaTorah. How does limud HaTorah start the relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world? Because when a person dives into limud HaTorah, not just learns by the way, but he jumps into the Yam HaTalmud, and he receives an enormous amount of joy from it. That is Nehenim Miziv HaShchina. That is already starting the relationship, the Isdapkus B'Hashem in this world, because it's coming through joy. And of course, this shows us what it means to be a parent as far as limud HaTorah is concerned. A father who learns Torah, but he learns it as an obligation. Oh, I'm learning Torah. It's bothering me. It's taking away from my good time. They will never teach your child Torah. But a parent that enjoys Torah, a parent that toils away in Torah and receives an incredible amount of joy from it, of course they will teach their children Torah. Because of course what a parent wants for their child is the ultimate joy. And when a parent receives joy from Torah and mitzvahs, they will share that joy with the Torah. So of course we see at the end of the Torah tells us, horrible things will happen if a person follows through on the tools that the Torah tells us to do. Maybe even follows through on limud HaTorah, but he doesn't do it b'simcha. Horrible things. Why? Because when a person does that, he guarantees that his children will not follow in his footsteps. If a person shows that he's following Torah and mitzvahs, yet somehow he manages to get away without receiving joy from it, he will not teach his children to go in his footsteps. So limud HaTorah is receiving joy from Torah, is showing your children that not only do you learn Torah because it's something that could connect you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but indeed when you learn Torah, you are connected. You show them that every possible joy that they can get in this world, people like in this world adventure, people like to be baffled in this world, people like to be challenged in this world. There are many different ways that people like to enjoy this world. But when a person jumps into Torah and shows his children that everything, all of these things he receives in the Torah, the shocking, the being baffled, the adventure, the challenge, everything, the comedy even, everything a person can receive in the Torah, when a person sees that joy and shows his children that joy, shares with his children that joy, when you teach your children Torah, that is when a person reaches the level of his dapkas b'Hashem in this world. And if he teaches it to his children, then the cycle is complete. And not only does he create a potential relationship between his children and HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world to come, but he actually realizes a relationship between himself, his children, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world, which of course is why you will see when a parent who toils away at Torah does so with his child, you will see the shine, the joy in their eyes, something you can never see when they do any other activity in this world. And of course, we will finish off with something that we see that Simcha Wasserman told us. You can plant the seeds for anything in this world, but without rain, it's not going to grow. You can plant the seeds for a relationship with your children. You can do all the tools that we already discussed and that we will Amir Hashem go through. But if you don't water those seeds with Limud HaTorah, it's not going to grow. It's not going to materialize. And the reason is what we just discussed. Because that joy that they will receive out of Limud HaTorah, that taste of Olam Haba, that taste of Gan Eden, that taste of the connection that they will have with Olam Haba and Einem Aziv HaShechina, only through that joy, through that taste, will you give over to your child that your entire soul is given over to the Torah and that they should want that too. If we want to teach our children Torah, if we want our children to be part of that relationship, HaKadosh Baruch Hu taught us as a parent by Matan Torah, you have to learn Torah with them. And learning Torah with them has to come with joy. This series is produced by TorahWire.org, sponsored by the DonorsFund.org. For all your charitable giving, open an account today on the DonorsFund.org. Thank you and have a wonderful day.